It's time for our pit stop. Here, we take a brief rest. It's a time to refuel, recharge, and explore shorter topics that are meaningful and helpful to us RVers. Welcome to RV Out West. I'm your host, Brooks. There is something very magical about being in the foothills of the Cascade Mountains, listening to Americana roots music. Bluegrass is quintessentially American. Like jazz, the roots of this genre are steeped in our culture and history. Sitting outside on a warm summer day with the sun shining and the sounds of the mandolin, guitar, fiddle, banjo, and an upright bass just seem to connect the dots on this style of mountain music. I've had the pleasure of drinking my morning coffee and listening to bluegrass while I look out over the Appalachian Mountains. It's as if things clicked for me, and the music just makes sense coming from the hollows. Growing up, bluegrass was never a genre of music that was ever played in my house. I honestly don't know where my love and appreciation of this style of music comes from. The third weekend in July is the Darrington Bluegrass Festival in the mountain town of Darrington, Washington. This laid-back and low-key music festival is 100% family-friendly and offers camping, making it easy to drag your trailer out to the festival grounds so you can enjoy a weekend of live music. The history of the Darrington Bluegrass Festival, according to the festival program I received upon checking in, it states, in the late 1940s and early 1950s, settlers from North Carolina, often referred to as Tar Heels, came to Darrington as a result of the thriving timber industry. They brought with them the instruments and songs of the mountain music left behind in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Picking at home spread to jamming in one another's living rooms or front porches. The bluegrass band called the White House Mountaineers formed in the mid-1970s and started drawing so many people, they decided to host the first annual Darrington Bluegrass Festival in 1977 at the rodeo grounds. Their first stage was a flatbed trailer. In the 1980s, the land east of the rodeo grounds became available. The Bluegrass and Country Music Makers Association purchased and developed the parcel of land into a unique amphitheater. The performance stage provides the perfect view of White Horse Mountain while performing for the audience. Darrington now claims to be the bluegrass capital of the Northwest and is proud to provide a venue where American folk traditional music comes to flow through the mountains. My family has gone to this bluegrass festival a handful of times over the last decade. In fact, one of my more recent Facebook memories showed a photo of my wife holding our son when he was 1 year old in a baby ergo carrier. Now he's almost 13, and he often requests listening to bluegrass in the truck. With that said, I have always wanted to camp at this festival. Well, this year we finally made it happen, and I brought the trailer. I came prepared to be self-contained and for dry camping. Prior to leaving, we had put some fresh water on board, and I had prepped the black tank with water and tank treatment. I even heaved our generator into the bed of my pickup. Let's take a brief pause here and hear a word from our friends over at Camper Alerts. It's summertime, and the great outdoors are calling. But did you forget to book a campsite 9 months ago? Well, don't worry. Say goodbye to sold-out campgrounds with Camper Alerts. With Camper Alerts, you can choose your campground, select your site type, and set a personalized alert. And when a site becomes available, they will notify you. It's that simple. Visit camperalerts.com today and start setting your alerts. We arrived to the festival grounds around 8:30 p.m. on Friday, and I learned two things. One was that we are going to be camping up top and closer to the parking lot. This just meant that we were out in the open, and so the direct heat of the 90-degree day on Saturday was just beating down on the camper, making it warm. It also meant that we had a bit of a farther walk. Not too big of a deal, and they also have golf carts there where volunteers are readily available to run you down to the amphitheater. The second thing is, and that I didn't expect, was that the festival grounds have water and electric hookups. Granted, it's only 15 amps, but that's enough to keep your fridge going and charge phones. Although by Saturday afternoon, the power had went out, and I believe that's a common occurrence during the festival. I'm not sure if it was because folks were trying to run AC on 15 amps. Whatever the case was, there was a big enough draw and a breaker tripped. So by late Saturday, we were on our own. So it was a good thing that I had planned for self-reliance. We did use our generator to run our AC a bit during the day and in the evenings to cool it down. I did inquire about camping in some of the other closer locations, and those that I had spoken with said that they got there on Tuesday before the weekend and were able to secure a spot. In the future, I guess we could run out there on Tuesday and drop the trailer, come back then on Friday for the kickoff of the festival, or just stay up there and camp those extra days. The biggest reason I really wanted to be camping down in these other locations is because while they do mention on their website that generators are to be turned off by 10 at night and can't be used before 8 in the morning, they also state that, quote, because this is a music festival and bluegrass fans are especially prone to jamming in small groups till the wee hours, it is unlikely to be quiet in the campground. Consider the bluegrass a type of lullaby or bring earplugs. End quote. I can vouch for this. At night, as I lied in bed with the windows open to let the cool breeze in, I could hear the far-off sounds of bluegrass jams coming from the campground. It was a lullaby, but I really wanted to be closer to the action, which is my biggest goal next time we go. A bit about the festival. There are food trucks and food vendors on site. While we did pack a bunch of food, we found it easier to just buy meals on site. If you are going to bring food, then I recommend you bring snacks and cheese and crackers and fruit and veggies and those kind of things so you can have something to nosh on between meals. They do not sell alcohol, and they remind everyone that this is a family event. You are allowed to drink back at your campsite, and I did bring in a few beers, but this is not a get wasted type of festival. There are also vendors selling merchandise, so if you are looking to pick up a little memento, you will have an opportunity to do so. If you happen to be a musician, then you should definitely bring your instruments so you can find a jam session in the campground and play with other like-minded musicians. This Bluegrass Festival, unbeknownst to us, was going to be one of the last times that we had with our beloved Boston Terrier, Miss Penelope. We brought her to the festival and had a wonderful time with her, and she very much enjoyed sitting in our laps in our lawn chairs listening to bluegrass. Sadly, on the Monday after the festival, Miss Penelope unexpectedly passed away, leaving a gaping hole in our family. We have been struggling with the sadness all week. She was only 3 years old, and while she was small in stature, she had made a huge impression on our family. We are all expecting her to come running into our room, but then we also all know that she is no longer walking on this earth. I am happy that she was able to experience this music festival with us, but I am deeply saddened by the fact that she's gone. Knowing what I know now makes this Bluegrass Festival this year just that much more special. I'm sorry to bum you out a bit, but such is life. This was a special trip, and it was something that I had been wanting to do ever since we first got into RVing, even back in the days with our tent trailer. The Bluegrass Association up there in Darrington always brings great acts to the festival, and this year they did not disappoint. If you're a bluegrass fan, or even a fan of live music, the Darrington Bluegrass Festival should be added to your list of summer concerts that you should attend. You can learn more by visiting darringtonbluegrass.com, and I will also have a link in the show notes so you can head over to rvoutwest.com and find it there too. You can now shoot me a text. Those that have done so already, thank you. Just click on the link in the description right there in your podcast app with this episode. If you have a question about RVing, a topic you'd like me to cover, or if you just want to say hello, please send me a text. Thank you again for listening to RV Out West. I sincerely appreciate it. If you haven't already done so, will you kindly give RV Out West a follow on Instagram and Facebook and join in on the conversation? Next week's episode, we chat with Ursula and Tim of Airstream Vagabond. These nomads spend a large portion of their time right here in the Pacific Northwest, and we are going to learn about them, their lifestyle, and their adventures. It's going to be a great episode, so be sure to tune in next week. Thanks so much for listening to RV Out West. Join us again next week. Please like and subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you choose to get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. I sure would appreciate it if you left a rating or a review of the show. Special thanks to Scott Holmes Music for providing us the intro song, We Are One. RV Out West can be found on Instagram and Facebook, where you can interact with us and follow along on our RV adventures around the Pacific Northwest. So get out there, explore, and go see what's beyond the horizon.